don't think any of us are prepared for the game-changing update that's releasing in Palia like right now. The Fall Fantasy of Barns and Briars update brings animal ranching, modular home building, new gameplay features, and more, which will completely change the way we play this game. You're getting so much more than you can expect, and as a Palia partner, I've got extra details and insights you're not going to want to miss. Now we're going to break this down by feature because there's a ton of new gameplay features in this update. The first one I want to dive into is animal ranching, also known as animal husbandry, except I hate that word, so we're just going to call it animal ranching. So let's go ahead and dive into everything that this entails. Now, first and foremost, this animal husbandry is going to be considered a new skill. Your guild master for this skill is going to be Delilah, and just like any other skill in the game, such as fishing or foraging, this skill is going to be able to be leveled up, which also means we're getting a new guild store with rewards and a new set of accomplishments that we can complete on a regular basis. Now at level 10, I do want to note it does unlock the weekly skill challenges, which you guys are all familiar with if you've been leveling up your skills in the game already. Now, as you level up your ranching skill, you will unlock different things such as more space for your animals, new animals, and even treats, which we'll talk about later on in this video. Now, most importantly, many of you are probably wondering, how are we going to actually unlock ranching in the game? For new players, you're going to need to complete the Like a Bird quest and get your glider, and that's when Delilah will show up on your plot. For existing players who have already completed this quest, we should log on and find her already on our plot, where she'll give us a recipe to craft something called a barn bell, which leads me directly into my next topic, which is ranching location and details. So like I mentioned, you're going to get a new craftable for the barn bell. Once you craft that and place it down on your plot, you'll be able to interact with this, which will transport you to the ranch location. Now, I know this is something everybody was curious about. I think many people were hoping that the ranching would be available like directly on our home plots. However, it was shared with us that this would be really difficult to implement and there were some restrictions with it, which is why they wanted to make it its completely separate area, which I actually think I like. Now, the first tip I want to provide for you is when you travel to the new ranch location, you're going to want to take a look to the left where you'll find a reference book or kind of like a guide to ranching. It'll be provided for you in the game. I think it's something everyone's going to want to take a look through. Now, another commonly asked question was, can our ranches be decorated? And at this time, the answer to that is no. You can't really decorate your ranch right now. I'm hoping that's something that maybe comes in the future, but for right now, no ranch decorating. Also, ranches cannot be visited by other players at this time, so multiplayer here is not available, but it is something that they're working towards. They mentioned that in their roadmap video as well. Now, this is where the information gets deep, so buckle in because this is a lot, but we're going to be talking about animal care, starting off with the fact that you can own up to 30 animals at a time. This is one of the main reasons I think they decided to make the ranch a separate plot from your home plot so that you could actually own and care for many animals at once. The first 4 animals as seen in the trailer is the Pkwy, which is a chicken, Oramu, which is kind of like a cow, the Trufflet, which is the pig we're all familiar with, and Bumbles, which are bumblebees. Now, if you're looking to purchase more animals, you can do so through the register that is on the ranch, which I absolutely love because this means we don't have to run in and out of our plots or our ranching site to purchase animals. Anything we need to get will be at this ranching register, to my understanding. Now, caring for your animals consists of 2 main things. One is by their hunger, also known as focus, similarly to how focus is for our own characters, and then happiness as well. Your animal's happiness is measured by petting them on a regular basis, whatever it is for that animal, because each animal has different, ways that they like to be interacted with and frequencies. And then we have focus, which is feeding the animals meals or ingredients, I think, to keep their hunger bar full. Essentially, you just need to feed them. Now, each species of animal has their own focus limit, which is essentially how much love and attention they need to be happy. So for example, you have low, medium, and high focus limits. Low focus limits being that they'll need very little love and attention, very easy to care for, versus a high focus limit, which means they need a lot more love and attention in order to be happy. Speaking of happiness, happy animals will produce resources on their regular, frequency, whatever that is for the specific species. For example, Pekwies provide eggs, which would be daily if they are happy. Oramus will provide milk. Trufflets will provide mushrooms from any variety, to my understanding, across Palia and Elderwood, and then Bumbles will provide you with honey. Now, you're all probably wondering what happens when your animal's unhappy or not very well cared for. I can reassure you that animals or your ranching animals will not die, so that wouldn't be very cozy and is a reason why they decided against death in the game when it comes to animals, but they will stop producing. So if you're not taking very good care of them and their focus and or happiness is just not well met, then they are going to stop producing the resources. Animals also do not get sick, not yet anyway. I I was kind of interested in seeing something like this introduced in the game, like your animals getting sick some type of way, and maybe you have to make medicine or buy medicine or to, cure them of whatever said sickness. I just feel like that's a level of realism that I would like. That may just be me though. I know a lot of people probably don't want to deal with that, but I would really like to see some type of complication like sickness in the game for our animals. But that's neither here nor there, just my opinion. The next thing we have is animal aging. Now, the 3 ages that I'm familiar with so far from what we've learned is babies, adults, and then something called venerated, which I'm thinking is like retired essentially. Once they reach the venerated stage, they stop producing. Now, we have a limit of 30 animals, and as you know, animals can't die. So you're probably wondering, what happens when you don't want an animal on your plot? Well, we have a new feature called donating. You can choose to donate your farm animal, which will give you treat bags. We'll of course talk about that later as well. But if you want to open up a space on your ranch for a new animal, then you can choose to donate them if you are at the max limit or if you just have an animal that you don't like. Now in the future, we are going to be getting more breeds, one of which I've already seen, but I cannot share. But it's definitely something that we can look forward to because there's a lot of new farm animals that will be coming to the game. Now let's move on to another really super exciting feature in the ranching update, which is animal breeding and traits. As many of you know, or maybe you're just finding out now, you will have the option to breed your ranch animals. So there's 2 ways now to get animals onto your ranch. One is purchasing them from the register, like I mentioned, but also breeding them into your ranch. Let's dive into breeding and how that works. There is a baby pen on the ranch where you will go to breed your animals. Now, if you want to breed an animal, you can only breed between 2 adults of the same species, I believe. I think that's the only thing that makes sense. But yes, of course, they have to be adults. And you want to make sure that when you breed 2 animals together, that you're sure about your decision because there are cooldowns related to, these animals once you breed them. Now, if you're wondering why breeding is important, it's important because each animal comes with a set of traits, which we're about to do a deep dive into. But breeding is important because it's a great way to improve and optimize like traits or even find rare traits for your animals, to my understanding. Now, traits are cosmetic and or characteristics that each animal comes with, and all animals, regardless of their origin, will come with a set of traits. Now, if you're wondering what the traits do, some are cosmetic, which means they could have shiny or colorful fur or different patterns. And then there are characteristic traits, which to my understanding are kind of like the personality of the animals. Now, of course, I haven't seen all of the traits, but just for an example, maybe you could have a gluttonous animal, or you could have an animal that's like easygoing or something like that, just to give you an example of maybe something you can expect. But again, those aren't like official traits, so don't quote me on that. I just want to give you an example so you understand. Now, each animal has a max of 6 traits each, and some of these traits are specific to species, so only that species can have those traits, versus there are another set of traits that can be found across all of the species of animals that we have in the game. Now, something that was very shocking to me and very intriguing at the same time is that there are confirmed to be hundreds of traits, which is insane. Hundreds of traits that you can find for your animals, which I was just not expecting. That seems like a lot. So there's going to be a lot of breeding and a lot of purchasing of animals at this point. Another interesting fact is that they can be good or bad traits. I don't think there's any like really bad trait, but for example, if you have a gluttonous animal or something like that, maybe you'll just have to feed them more often because they're always hungry, which may be a trait that you want to breed out or avoid in the future, versus good traits that offer other types of things which can make your animal easier to care for. Now, when you purchase an animal, they will come with a set amount of traits already. However, as they grow, they can develop new traits over time, and of course, like I mentioned, you'll breed animals in order to either find new traits or pass down traits from an animal that you really like. So breeding is going to be the best way to optimize stats, get cool cosmetic features for your animals, and then different characteristics like I mentioned. Now, traits can also be controlled by another method, which is treats. And again, we're going to dive into that in just a second, but treats is another way for you to change the different characteristics or cosmetic appearance of your animals on your ranch. So let's dive into that a little bit. Okay, so treats are new animal consumables that provide benefits or adjustments like I mentioned. So some examples of these treats, which you can also see a full list of, some of the treats that are available right now in the patch notes, which I have linked in the description. Some of these treat examples are Never Grow, which will keep your animal from aging. You'll have a Name Well cookie, for example, that you can use to rename your animal. There's an Oopsie cookie where you can remove a random trait. I'm really curious about that one though, because it says remove a random trait. And I don't know if the game just picks whichever trait or if you can pick a trait of your choice to be removed from the animal. Very curious about that. There's even a reincarnate treat, which means you can reincarnate an animal of your choice. And this one, to my understanding, is extremely rare. Like, this is a really rare one. It'll be hard to maybe find or obtain, but it'd be cool to be able to reincarnate an animal for sure. Now, there are also treats that can, as I mentioned, change the cosmetic appearance of an animal. So maybe the treat will allow you to change the fur color or, the aesthetic of your animal in some type of way, which would be really cool. And if you're wondering, you can obtain treats by purchasing them from the ranch store. There are more advanced treats that you can earn from skill medals, using your skill medals. I'm assuming that's probably at the guild store with Delilah. And as I mentioned earlier, you can donate animals, which will get you a treat bag. It's a random bag filled with treats. I guess you just open it like you do with other resources in the game, and you'll find a set of randomly generated treats in there. So that's another reason why you might want to donate unwanted animals, so that you can get some of those treat bags. And then you can also discover more treats by building or growing your farm. Now, just as an additional tip, there's a special bonus of treat packs that you're going to get from completing the monthly bundles that comes in this 0.195 update. So you're definitely going to want to do those bundles. We'll talk about that more a little bit later on in the video. Now, some additional information about the ranching aspect. Animals will be able to be turned into pets in this update. This means that you'll be able to have them follow you around like any of the premium shop pets that you've purchased. Now, in order to do this though, you're gonna have to purchase a handler's license from the premium shop. Now, what I understand about the handler's license is that you have to purchase a license per species. So for example, if you want a Pkwy as a pet, you're gonna have to purchase that handler's license for the Pekwies. You also have to purchase a handler's license for the truffle, for example, so that you can have those follow you around. So it's going to be a purchase per new species of animals and any new species that comes in the future. Now, also, I've seen that the Ormu is not going to be available for a pet to follow you around. I'm really hopeful that the Ormu is going to come in the future, because that's the one I was most excited to have following me around. But right now we will have it for the Pkwy, the truffle, and the bumble. You're probably wondering why you would buy a leash for the truffle, for example. This was kind of my first thought. I'm like, well, we already have truffle pets in the game. The difference between having a leash for your ranch animal versus the actual pet in the premium shop is that your ranch animal will be customizable by their traits and the characteristics. So if you have a really cool cosmetic appearance to one of your pets, for example, maybe they have like glowing fur, or maybe they have these cool stripes, or whatever cool aesthetic from your pet, that pet will be able to follow you around. And of course, you can share that pet with everyone who sees you in the game. They can see the work that you've put into one of your ranch animals. So I guess that's the benefit of buying the leash, if you're interested in that, of course. Now, that's pretty much all of the information I have for you on ranching in the game. This is such a cool feature, and I'm so excited to dive into it. Speaking of, I'm probably live right now as you're watching this video. Feel free to finish the video and come join us. With that being said though, let's jump into housing lines, which is the second biggest feature in this update, and it's absolutely changing the way that we decorate and build in this game. So if you're not sure about the name housing lines is basically a new form of modular building that gives us the ability to fully customize the layout of our home. Now, also one thing that I'm understanding from conversations and also seeing the videos is that housing lines are going to be different aesthetics. So the first one we're receiving in this update is called the Alchemist Cottage aesthetic. This aesthetic resembles Tamala's home. In my opinion, it looks a lot kind of like her house and like the colors, and also like the witchy cottage vibe, which I'm absolutely in love with, by the way. I've been waiting for Tamala's vibes to come to the game. Now, I definitely find this aspect about housing lines very interesting, because I'm sure more aesthetics is going to be coming in the future. We also saw in a trailer a while back that there were some glass housing lines, and I'm thinking greenhouse or really customized like big windows on your home, kind of like the front of Tamala's home, which I'll insert a picture of this. Now, again, this is not confirmed. This is just purely me speculating, but other aesthetics will probably be coming in the game. And I'm super curious to see if we're going to be able to combine these different housing line aesthetics, and just what other aesthetics will come in general. So we'll have to stay tuned to see that, but just know this is the first housing line aesthetic coming to the game. Now, you're probably wondering about those modular pieces and what it allows you to create. We saw a lot in that video, which I'll have on the screen here, but you're going to be able to build multiple stories, which is unfortunately capped out at 2 right now. Hopefully we'll see that maybe change in the future, but we are capped out at 2 stories. We'll be able to make patios, attics, indoor staircases, and more. Like, this is absolutely mind-blowing and game-changing. even a little overwhelming if you're someone like me. Now, some things you should know: if you want to make a patio, you just need to remove your roof. Indoor staircases, I believe, can only be placed inside for right now. And a really big tip is make sure you're purchasing those base homes, not the harvest house, but the original base house. Because those are the ones that you're going to be using to stack on top of each other in order to make 2 floors like you've seen in the video. Now, another thing I do want to share is that there is a connected room limit, so you can only connect up to 10 rooms at this time. I'm really not sure how I feel about that. I guess we're going to have to get in to kind of see, what that means and how restricting it is, but you can only connect 10 rooms right now. Now, if you want to see all of the modular pieces that come by like individual set or piece, you should check out the patch notes. Again, that's linked down below. So just make sure you look there to see everything that's coming. Now, if you're wondering where to purchase, you're going to go to City Hall, which makes sense because that's where we get all of our housing stuff. But I do want to note, you need to be at least level 10 in the furniture making skill in order to purchase the modular pieces to build with. Now, there's another interesting thing about this set, which I'm going to have to play to understand, but the Alchemist Cottage is separate into prefabs. I'm not sure about that word, but they're like sets, I guess you could say. So there's prefab A and prefab B that come with different pieces of this Alchemist housing line set. It was noted that you need to purchase prefab A before being able to purchase prefab B. I'm not exactly sure what all that means, but again, just be mindful. I guess you're gonna have to purchase one before getting the other. That information may change. Take that with a grain of salt, but just make sure you go to the City Hall in order to see how to purchase these new items to build with. Now, I do have another tip for you, something I highly recommend and was also recommended to us as Palia partners, is to purchase more of the base homes before you purchase prefabs. Again, base homes are going to act like the base for building essentially, and the prefabs are going to allow you to build onto that base. So to save some money, don't just go out and buy a whole bunch of prefabs at once. Start with the base homes and then go from there, if that makes sense. Now, moving on, some more info that I think you should know about the housing lines is that roofs can be decorated now with foliage and chimneys, which is absolutely outstanding. I am so excited about that because that'll allow you to make your roofs look really cool and unique. You can also change the color of your roofs using all of the standard roof colors that we have in the game right now. You just need to make sure, I believe, that you apply that roof color to the first base house. And interacting with each base home gives you the option to remove like the roof or open up a wall. So essentially this works the same way as if you want to change your windows or even a walkway through your inside of your house. You know how you can interact with that little menu? It'll open up and give you a set of options in order to really customize the room that you're making, which is so cool. There's also what seems to be, from the video, free placement with windows. I don't know how much of a free placement it is, but it looks like you just kind of drag them around and place them wherever you want. You can even customize a cluster of the windows. Now, my main concern about this is lighting. Lighting on the inside of your house in Palia has always been a little bit weird to me. I'm hoping as we add windows, we'll actually see the light reflect on the inside of the house, like how light comes through the windows. But I'm kind of skeptical. I guess we'll have to see, but I'm really hoping that the lighting matches up with whatever window design we decide to go with. But at that same time, another thing I want you guys to know is that at this time, you're not going to be able to use those bay windows that we love so much if you're using housing lines. Hopefully we'll be able to add them in the future. Now, although I mentioned the housing lines cannot be used with the harvest house, you can place a harvest house down on the same plot as a home you're building using the housing lines. They just can't be connected to the harvest house. Hopefully that makes sense. Now, that is a lot of information, and hopefully you're still with me because we do still have a bit to cover. There are some other new features that I do want to share with you in the game. But if you're still watching, thank you so much for being here. Let's continue on. Now, the next thing we're going to talk about is the bulletin board. As you know, the bulletin board is a feature that came in a recent update. And this is where you basically add resources or things to a bundle, and then you get a gift or reward back. So completing these bundles are really helpful, and they change per update. So now that we have update 0.195, we have a new bundle coming called the New County Fair Quests. Basically what we're going to be doing is helping Badgeru and his wife build an amazing booth at the Bahari Fair province, or Bahari Province Fair, I think is what it's called. Now, if we complete the full bundles, apparently we're going to get a Rancher Decor Recipe Starter Pack, which we all need. Okay, we need that. All right, it's only going to be available during this patch, which is something I want to stress. It will return. If you're not focused on those bundles, you need to be for this next update so that you can get this starter pack. Now, this decor set is a country living aesthetic, essentially. So think hay bales, produce bag filled with apples and potatoes, carts, barrels, all of that good decorative clutter stuff. So if you're into that ranching aesthetic, you definitely need this. Now, the next most exciting update or feature coming to the game for your girl is the new daily quest in Earnable cosmetics. Now, as excited as I am, I do have some drawbacks, but let's talk about this in detail. So, as you may know, we are getting new daily quests. Now, these are in real life daily quests. There are 200, to my understanding, rotating quests. And we will actually see these rotating quests as 2 randomly selected quests every in real life day. Now, these quests will appear in the P menu or the feature guide, but in the future, they're hoping to add this to the bulletin board, which I think makes sense. I'm hoping to see that the bulletin board will be a feature that we see in the P menus. That way we don't have to run all the way into town to keep track of whatever's going on with the bulletin board. Like, it's cool that it's there, but I'd like to have it as its own separate menu. However, if you're looking for your 2 quests for the day, just open up your P menu, you should see it there. Now, a cool feature about these quests is that one of those quests will be the same for everyone in the game. So if you want to work together to complete these quests with other players, that's something you can choose to do. The other quest is going to be randomly generated, so it'll be random for every player. Now, if you don't like the quests that you have been given for the day, maybe you don't feel like doing those specific quests or you don't think you can complete them, then you do have reroll credits, and these are credits that are giving to us per patch. So to my understanding, you're going to get 10 reroll credits. And once you use a reroll credit, it will basically randomly generate 2 new quests for you. I don't know if you can choose between one or the other, but yeah, you can basically use these reroll credits to get new quests that you maybe better will align with. One thing to note that's really important, you cannot partially complete the quests. You need to make sure that you complete them fully so that you can get your tailor tickets. Which brings us to the next point. Completing these quests every day grants you tailor tickets, and these are used to unlock new colors for hairs, makeup, and facial hair, which I'm really excited about, but I'm also very nervous, and here's why. So as you know, there's a new dyeing system coming to the game, and we're going to be able to use these dyes to change the aesthetic of our hair, beard, makeup, and in the future update, clothing. Now, taking a deeper dive into this dye system, we have things called, what I saw were called brands, but they're essentially palettes, and they're a set of color themes. So as you can see in this video that's up on the screen, there are there's a bar at the very top. I believe those are the palettes, and some of them look like they're like the one we're looking at is Hearth Haven, and it's basically a set of greens. So this is a color palette for greens. And then if you look at the row with the little circles with all the different colors of greens, you'll use, it looks to be 1 tailor ticket to unlock 1 color. And once you've unlocked every single color, individual color in the palette, you have unlocked the palette in total, if that makes sense. So just to back up a little bit, we have tailor tickets, which are used to unlock dyes. The dyes are individual colors in these color palettes, and you can complete a full color palette to have every color in that group. Now, I'm explaining this in detail because this is going to be important for you to focus on before the updates in the future that bring clothing that can be dyed, because although you can unlock individual colors to use to dye your hair, beard, and makeup, those individual colors, to my understanding, are not going to be able to dye your clothing. You're going to have to unlock a palette in full in order to use it to dye your clothing. So make sure that you're logging in as much as possible to complete your dailies and getting as much tailor tickets as possible to unlock as many dyes before the coming updates. Now, from the video, I can see that it looks like we are going to get 3 tickets per completed quest. My only issue is I don't know if this is going to be the standard. Like, I don't know if some quests for the day are going to be harder than other quests, and if those quests are going to give us more tailor tickets, or if the tailor tickets just vary, like maybe you'll just get 1 for completing an easier quest, or if 3 is going to be the standard number. But I'm going to just base my information off of the video, which shows you get 3 tickets per completed quest for the day. So that means for each day that you complete quests, so every in real life day, you should get 6 tickets. Now, if that's correct, and every palette comes with 25 colors, which is what I could see from the video, there was 25 colors in one palette, I'm not saying that that's going to be the base, but let's just say if it is 25 per pallet, then it's going to take you 5 in real life days to fully unlock 1 pallet. I think a really good strategy, and what I'm probably going to try to do, is focus on unlocking every color in a specific palette over the coming weeks so that I can have as many palettes unlocked as possible. That way, when it's time for me to dye my clothing, I'll be able to use as many colors as possible and just play around with it to the fullest extent at that time. Now, we do know that there are going to be 12 palettes to start with that have over 3,000 colors to use. 3,000, which is an absolutely insane number to me. They did say that our original color options will still be available and it will not affect any saved presets, but they have expanded our original color palette from 25 to 60 shades, which I'm really excited because, I don't know, I just feel like the more colors, the merrier. Moving right along, we have the Gardener's Questline. This is another thing that I was just not expecting like at all, but this is a new quest line where we'll be able to build a relationship with the gardener and eventually have him move in on our plots with us. So we'll now be able to raise our friendship by chatting and gifting with him, just like you do with any other NPC in the game. And at level 2, you'll get a new quest to move him onto our plots, which I'm wondering what the benefit of this is. I think it's cool, and it looks like we're getting some change in aesthetic to like the other gardener item that we've got, which gives us those flow tree seeds. But I'm just curious about this. I'm assuming it's just an easier way for us to chat with the gardener daily, considering he's located in a whole different area in Bahari Bay. So maybe it's just an easy way for us to chat with him. But I do think it's kind of cool that he'll live on our plots with us. But I do feel like he's going to be watching us. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. We'll see how it goes. Another cool aspect about this, and I quote, "We'll earn a one-of-a-kind decorative reward exclusive through the quest line." So I'm very intrigued to see what that is, but I love new stuff, so let me have it. I'm excited. And then last but not least on this list, we have new plushies. So if you guys are in love with the plushies in the game, you'll be happy to know that we have the Duskwing butterfly plush coming, an extra large shark fin plush, and also 10 brand new shiny potato pods are coming to the game as well. So if you're interested in collecting those are definitely coming to the game, which brings us to the end of what you can expect in this update. I do again recommend you go and check out the patch notes because there are other improvements and bug fixes and things like that that are coming with this update that I didn't include in this video. But if you want to check that out, the link is in the description box below. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video, and I really hope that it helps you better understand what you can expect with this massive new update. I am so excited to be streaming this with my community. Again, I'm probably streaming right now as you're watching this video, so feel free to come join us and experience the update with us. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, I will catch you all in the next one. Peace!